Okay, so unfortunately we can't wait any longer. So we're going to go ahead with the next presentation, and we'll have everyone else that's late repeat to us what was said in this presentation later on. I'm sorry, Vidosava, I hope you can hear me, for the delay. It was part the organization problem and part the problem with Dubrovnik. Everybody wants to be outside and sunbathe after lunch. I invited them all to come in, but they're really slow in coming in. They're taking their time. So I think we can go on with your presentation, and then we're going to share with the rest of the colleagues what was said and share the presentation with them. So if they have any more questions, I hope they can get back to you via email or some other way. Please, the floor is yours. And you can share the presentation. I hope you can share the presentation.
Yes. Hello, everybody. You can share a presentation. You can share my presentation because I cannot.
Okay.
You can check now if you could share it.
That's ours. Okay.
Okay.
Just a second. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon from sunny Belgrade. And it is an honor to be here. At the beginning, I would like to greet all participants and in hall or participants in outside of the Investing in Disaster Risk Reduction in Southeast Europe workshop in Dubrovnik on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia, Belgrade Chamber of Commerce, and on my own behalf. I have a big challenge to keep your attention after lunch in beautiful Dubrovnik by presenting good practice in Serbia. But I try in the next few minutes, you can, next slide, please. I try in the next few minutes to share with you some information about what we have been doing and what we plan to do. Next slide, please. As a result of the Building SMEs Resilience in Serbia initiative implemented by the UNDRR office in cooperation with the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia and with support of USAID, we conducted research, national dialogue, sharing the result of exchange of good practice through 6 regional peer-to-peer meetings and preparation for implementing the next steps to improve the resilience of the SME sector in Serbia. Next slide, please. We have identified extreme water events, floods, cyber incidents as key risks faced by SMEs in Serbia. The biggest negative impact on small and medium-sized enterprises was the loss of sales as well as the loss of income. It is the same result as in a region which colleague Zavisha presented yesterday. Every third SMEs use a bank loan for recovery, while only 12% of them use insurance. Next slide, please. The level of preparedness of SMEs to face disaster is low. 1 in 2 SMEs share that they don't have a business continuity plan, do not have enough capacity and resources, and do not have adequate insurance. Research shows that SMEs are highly dependent on utilities and supply chains. The need for infrastructure improvement depends on how developed the municipalities is, in which sector it belongs to. For small, underdeveloped municipalities, the key problem is electrification, while for longer ones, the main challenge is digitalization. The energy crisis is an additional challenge for SMEs in Serbia. The research also identified the importance of local public utilities, such as water or sewage, for resilience of small and medium enterprises. Next slide, please. The key challenges to capacity building for SMEs resilience identified during the survey are the lack of plans, strategies for dealing with risk, and the limited training, particularly for employees, on how to act in the event of a hazard. SMEs also lack of necessary resources, capacity and risk awareness, as well as an awareness of the potential impact of their business. In addition, SMEs have difficulty in identifying appropriate measures to help them mitigate the effects of a disaster. Around 45% of SMEs state that in the event of a disaster, they could get help from a bank or other financial institution. In Serbia, this is predominantly involved the development fund of the Republic of Serbia. Only 70.5% state that they would be able to get support from their local government. There were no significant differences between SMEs in different regions or different sectors. However, there are differences between the different types of economic operators. For example, smallholders farms and the local public companies have the highest expectation when it comes to support from local and national governments. Next slide, please. Finding from the qualitative research stage conducted at the beginning of this study show that insurance is now widely recognized as a means of investing in SMEs resilience, or that insurance products dealing with disaster prevention are not available on the market, or that when such services are available, SMEs are deterred by high price and a lack of trust. This may be by almost half of the SMEs stated that they do not have adequate insurance to help recover from a disaster, while a quarter reported that they only have partial insurance. Only a more 70% state that they are fully insured. Insurance is most prevalent among local government municipal enterprises. Next slide, please. Of those SMEs that state that they have insurance, a significant number have insurance against property damage and against damage to equipment. However, only 22% of SMEs are insured against loss of raw materials and goods, and as few as 6% have insurance against business interruption. Only 1% of SMEs state that they are insured against cyber incidents, even though 6% of them have faced the risk of a cyber attack in the last 5 years, accelerating the application of digital technologies will increase the risks of cyber incidents. It is therefore necessary to develop enhanced cyber risk insurance products. Next slide, please. Although they are important catalysts for resilience, SMEs face numerous challenges related to disaster risk reduction. These challenges can be grouped into two following categories: lack of resources and capacity, lack of risk awareness, lack of communication with local and national authorities, and lack of incentives and support for building resilience. The most common bottlenecks for recovery after disaster are uncertainty and lengthy bureaucratic procedures, and lack of regulatory framework for recovery, and lack of physical resources. Next slide, please. Key recommendation for strengthening the resilience of SMEs at the level of policymakers should focus on extend the regulatory framework to include preventive measure and investment in the long-term resilience, and to develop financial and non-financial incentives tailored to SMEs to invest in long-term resilience, both at the level of individual companies and at the level of value chains. Develop incentives to subsidize disaster risk insurance that are tailored and acceptable of SMEs. It is also necessary to encourage cooperation between SMEs in building capacity and investing in resilience in order to improve their own resilience and the resilience at the local community level through joint investment. Next slide, please. For SMEs level, the focus should be on improving knowledge, skills, and practice related to disaster risk reduction, the establishing a systematic approach in planning and integrated risk management, as well as risk assessment to and development of business continuity plan, both at the level of individual companies and at the level of value chains, as well as increase investment in different types of insurance. Next slide, please. After conducted research in cooperation with the Regional Chamber of Commerce, we organized 6 peer-to-peer meetings in the period from June to October 2021, where we presented the results of the research and exchange experience and practice between representatives of key stakeholders. In total, about more than 200 participants took part, the largest number of representatives of private companies, and then local and regional institutions such as the local self-government, the emergency situation service of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, then representatives of insurance companies, representatives of educational institutions, and local public companies. The regions where the peer-to-peer meetings were held are the regions that are most often exposed to risk due to pandemics, extreme water events, floods, as well as cyber risks. Next slide, please. At all meetings, as guests and active participants, we had representatives of 2 ministries at the level of state secretaries, namely the Ministry of Economy and the Ministry of Agriculture, At one meeting in Sremska Mitrovica, we had the chairman of the Committee for Environmental Protection from the Parliament of the Republic of Serbia as an active participant. Next slide, please. Key conclusions from these peer-to-peer meetings are companies of all size and from different sectors are exposed to risk. There is good practice. There is opens for mutual cooperation to strengthen our resilience, as well as cooperation between SMEs and institutions at the local, regional, and national level. They are resilient champions that they are ready to share their practice, experience, and lessons learned with other stakeholders. Learning from each other and learning on the fly can significantly reduce time because most SMEs are aware of the risks, but are not sure where and how to start. It has been shown that investing in long-term resilience requires significant funds, which in fact many SMEs see as a cost, and they are not significantly familiar with the incentives and do not have much confidence. Therefore, then is often a perception that they will not, I guess, and that will happen to me. Next slide, please. Additionally, today I want to share with you our plans for SMEs risk assessment. Next slide, please. We are currently working on development of an SMEs risk assessment tool for Serbia. We analyze the available current tools and methodologies for SMEs risk assessment, analysis and adaptation of the UNDRR quick risk assessment tool for micro, small, and medium enterprises in the Asia-Pacific region, and adaptation for implementation in Serbia. We will then develop a methodology for SME risk assessment, which will be presented and tested at the focus group meeting. This tool is intended to help micro, small, and medium sized enterprises to develop a basic understanding of their level of risk, and it means to be one tool among many to help enterprises and business owners understand their risk levels and build their resilience. The tool does not undertake a comprehensive risk assessment of the SME's business, which requires more substantial analysis, knowledge, and resource. Instead, this tool aims to provide a quick general estimation of a current situation in which a business is operating. A business owner may use this tool to estimate the temporal change in the condition and how that impact the overall business risk. Next slide, please. Using this tool, it is possible to evaluate 7 key areas in business, such as human resourcing, operations, finance, IT and technology, market, physical infrastructure, and government's policy. So the answers in these 7 key areas, the final score is estimated in the 5 risk levels, such as very high, moderate, low, and very low. Next slide, please. as a user of this tool, and I can say that the UNDRR tool, quick risk assessment tool for micro, small, medium enterprises, is the most suitable tool for SMEs because flexible for use in companies of different size, operating in different sectors and having different capacities on or resources. Easily applied in practice. It can be used for both external and internal risk assessment. The company receives an overall risk assessment through the risk radar and through a graphic display. Also, the graph clearly shows that achieve results in key areas as well as a recommendation for key improvements. Next slide, please. The next steps are analysis and adaptation of the UNDRR assessment tool for SMEs for Serbia, preparation on draft methodology for SMEs risk assessment for Serbia, organizing a workshop with the focus group and testing the methodology and tools, and finally, preparation of the final SMEs risk assessment to develop in Serbian language. Of course, we want to share new results in disaster risk reduction at future national and regional events, and we open for your comments. Thank you for your attention, and I hope so next time we will be together face to face.
I hope so too. Thank you, Vidasava, for this presentation. It was very interesting for me. We were discussing even on yesterday. It seems to me we were longer here. That we have to start having closer cooperation with the Chamber of Commerce in Croatia as well after the questionnaire that we had, and this gives us some good ideas. I was wondering if you already started to do some of the risk assessments with the SMEs. How did they accept it, and do they find it useful, and are they going to use it for risk reduction and strengthening risk resilience in the future, or is it just an interesting exercise they went through and then they're going to go into their business as usual? What is your experience so far?
After the big flood in 2014 in the Obrenovac, in Serbia, the attitude towards disaster completely changed. The previous survey and the research shows us that is SME is very open, but they need support and how to make the first step. We identify the good practice and resilience champions and exchange practice, and they experience that when after disaster they created continuity plans. If we can continuity plans, we need previous steps and we understand the risks and understand where is the gap in the how to implement or how to define the measure, how to change this situation. And before our preparation next step, we exchange information with some resilience champions and their exposed needs, their quick tools for estimating and risk assessment.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned that you had a few meetings, regional Chamber of Commerce meetings, and that there were a few ministries there. Did you also cooperate with the disaster management responsible ministry or civil protection ministry, or was that, or were they not present, but were they in the background somewhere? Are they aware of these conversations or these meetings that you had?
Through national dialogue, we established good cooperation with our Ministry of Economy and Ministry of Agriculture, because the ministries support SMEs in and after disaster. But Ministry of Agriculture developed a set of measures for prevention disaster, and our regional meetings cover and support two state secretaries from Ministry of Economy and Ministry of Agriculture, and exchange how to ministry support SMEs, especially during the pandemic, COVID pandemic, and of Ministry of Agriculture presenting their measure for prevention floods or natural disasters. And our support in we don't have national risk management strategy for disaster, and now in our country prepare this strategy, and we will we expect in the future we identify the ministry who coordinate everything or activities and national on the local level, including SMEs or including the private sector. That is a lot of measure in local level or national level adopted without include SMEs.
Okay, thank you very much for this. Do we have any questions from the group? Zawisza?
Well, I don't have any question, but I just want to thank you, Vidoslava. She was actually, her work was inspiration for us in Croatia to do something else with the SMEs and with civil protection. Thank you once more.
Thank you, Zawisza.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yeah.
Thank you, Vidoslava. Just to quickly to note, yeah, I mean, as we saw yesterday with the results of the SME survey, and also from this survey, you know, one of the key kind of recommendations for SMEs was the development of these risk assessments for the SMEs, and then ultimately to support business continuity planning. You know, one of the findings was 1 out of every 2 SMEs in the region doesn't have a business continuity plan in place. So the ultimate idea would be to start this up in Serbia, look to expand across the region. And then when we're talking about the link with financing, the idea would be to kind of demonstrate these, increasing resilience activities and measures to be more attractive to financing, to kind of demonstrate, okay, we're taking these risk reduction measures. We have these plans in place, that could further support access to building the case for increased financing as well. And then also the link with the chambers of commerce is critical. Having that link in the country there with all the different networks and so on is essential. So that's a core part of it as well.
Agreed. Thank you. Vlatko, you have a question?
Several times you mentioned business continuity plans for SMEs. Is there a legal requirement for them to have business continuity plans vis-a-vis the requirement to have risk assessment and rescue and protection plans? How do you balance that? Because one is, I guess it's a legal requirement. The other one is from business continuity is you have ISO standards and it's a good practice. So how can we motivate the SMEs to have business continuity plans if it is not prescribed by law to do so?
I think that is now SMEs don't, especially motivation for prepare business continuity plan. But during the pandemic, COVID pandemic crisis, the mindset SMEs changed, and because they need to support how to prepare a plan for recovery this business, and a lot of company in my country have certificate by ISO 22301 business continuity management. But isn't obligatory, and in my country, in the legal, not obligatory for SMEs prepare to business continuity plan, and I mention that is at the moment, they need to prepare business continuity plans, but they need to support as financial long-term support, as non-financial support. Chamber of Commerce and Industry from Serbia during the pandemic change our key activities, such as we organize company information, exchange of information, help in solving operation issue to maintain business continuity, organize of companies that have the capacity to produce healthcare production. We also organize support for vaccination of employees, not only in Serbian companies, but also in companies from the region. That is, we have a new role in the support of business SMEs resilience, support of SMEs resilience, and in the next step in our activities is support to our SMEs, our members to risk assessment to use the SMEs risk assessment and support them how to prepare continuity plan, risk assessment as the first step to prepare business continuity plan.
Yeah. Okay. Vlatko is no longer here, but I think you answered his question. Basically, we're back to raising awareness and education for everyone, including the SMEs, so that they realize the importance of a business continuity plan and resilience strengthening, even if they don't have a legal obligation to have a business continuity plan. Until that time, it's up to all of us to sort of motivate them and to help them. And I see that you have been doing a great job in Serbia, and we have to be a bit more active in Croatia. I don't know about the other countries. I hope you got some good practices from this presentation. Do we have any more questions? Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, I thank you very much, Vidosava, for your presentation and for your availability, and apologies again for the delay. I hope we didn't mess up your daily schedule too much. Thank you. If we have some more questions, we'll be sure to send them to you, and hope you can respond a bit later. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to go on with the workshop. I'm just going to give you an introduction into what we are going to be doing after the coffee break a little bit. And then after the coffee break, we're going to have a short discussion in the groups. And then it's up to you guys and your work on your action plans, projects and action plans. Yeah. Okay, so before the workshop, I think a week ago, we sent you an email, and it had a few questions within the email for you guys to sort of prepare yourselves for what we're going to discuss. These questions included a question of if you have a disaster risk reduction strategy or an action plan, if you have an institution that would coordinate this strategy or action plan implementation and coordinate the monitoring of its implementation, if you have a financing plan within this strategy or action plan, or any other kind of DRR financing plan in the country that's maybe not related to the DRR strategy, but you have a separate thing. And how do you discuss priorities, which activities in terms of resilience and disaster risk reduction are going to be the first one to be financed in your countries? Do you discuss it within a government working group? Do you just impose your decisions as an authority? Is it according to the risk assessment, and so on and so forth? So we're going to discuss this in 15 minutes, if you agree. We can have our coffee break and then come back and discuss this, and then it's up to you guys to finish your action plan. Is that okay? Okay, let's go for a 15-minute break.